Where's my passport?
Hello and welcome to I Am Not Your Tour Guide, but I am your host, Starla Skelton. This is a podcast where we interview travelers who have a passion for telling their stories. So whether they have traversed the globe for 30 years or they are just getting their navigational feet wet, I want to dive deep and hear their stories. So today's guest comes to us from Georgia, the state, not the country. And this is a man who has had a lot to say since the day I met him. We have always had great conversations, and I have had the opportunity to travel with him. We traversed through a little bit of Latin America together in the past, and so I know firsthand his attachment to travel. So I am excited for this conversation today. Mr. Jay, welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you, Starla, very much. It is by far an honor and a blessing to be here talking about travel with you of all people.
I'm excited, right? Like, this is going to be fun.
Extremely.
You could just let loose. You could tell me these, deep thoughts you have about travel that somebody might look at you and hear crickets in the background. But when I hear these travel stories, I'm such a nerd. I'm just like, yes, tell me more. So I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Are you good in life? Life is great. Things are great.
Life is great. I just recently got married, so got me a boo for life. Thank you very much.
Oh, y'all are both lucky. That's awesome. And what's her name? Let's give her a shout out.
Erin Daniels Dunham.
It's just crazy. I'm sure it's crazy for her to say her new name, she took your last name as well. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Is she a big traveler, domestically, internationally? What's her experience?
Kind of domestically, because she grew up in a military family, so they've traveled all over the U.S. But her first international travel experience was with me. And I took her to Punta Cana for her 40th birthday.
Oh, man. Did you have the best time ever?
Yeah, it was short. It was really short. The way it happened is that our flight got messed up, so we lost a day. Like, we could have stayed an extra day, but we couldn't because of my work. So we ended up losing a day, but nevertheless, we were able to meet all of our travel plans. So we had a freaking blast.
You were able to go with her on her first trip out of the United States, which is amazing. And I'm sure it was pretty awesome to watch her see the world as well. So where was your first travel experience that took you outside of the United States?
I was 29. I had never been out of the United States.
A long time ago.
Ages ago, in the medieval times. So I was 29. I'd never been to an airport. I'd never seen an airplane up close. And I was working with a restaurant company at the time, Outback Steakhouse, and I was selected to go do a new store opening in Dubai. My first experience was Atlanta Airport, one of the busiest in the country, to Newark, New Jersey, from Jersey to London Heathrow, and then from Heathrow to Abu Dhabi. And I left my luggage in London because I didn't know I had to carry it over to the next plane. I didn't know that was a thing. So I had to wear my underwear inside out a day or two so I could get by, but they got it to me. They were able to recover it, and I ended up getting all my stuff back. So it was good. But I was there in Dubai for a month. So that was my first experience.
Oh, so whenever you get to Dubai, and you go from Atlanta, Georgia to Dubai, was that a bit of a culture shock for you?
I had a lot of fear because, for one, I didn't know the language, and they speak Arabic. There was some complication there. The airport was fine, but my transportation, which Outback provided transportation, somebody picked me up, that was fine. But there was a lot of not discomfort, but just I'm a very protective person. Like, I'm always looking around me, watching my back, that kind of thing. So I was at a heightened sense of awareness, like a heightened sense of almost heightened sense of emergency. But once I got to the hotel and I was all around my people, because they selected like 30 or 40 people from around the U.S. to do this opening. It wasn't just me. It was a whole bunch of people from all over the U.S. So once I got there, everything was fine. And we had translators, we had people to help guide us and make sure that we got to and from where we were going safely. So it was pretty smooth once I got there.
But so you were with your work family. Did you
Hmm.
have opportunities to kind of branch out and learn more about the culture in Abu Dhabi?
Yes. So we had in the month, we had like 4 off days. So one day off a week that we could go do our own thing, and we would pair up in groups and we would go do adventures together. So the first thing we did was go to the Burj Khalifa, which back in 2009 slash into 2010 is the time frame that I was there. And they changed the name upon opening the Burj Khalifa. It used to be the Burj Dubai. And then right when they opened it to the public, they changed it to the Burj Khalifa. So at the bottom, they have like this little man-made river, and you can take like a little gondola around the river and stuff. But they do a fountain show every hour on the hour, and it's like the world's biggest fountain show in the planet. And when you go and watch this thing, they have this person singing in the background, or maybe it's a recording, but you have hundreds of thousands of people gathering around this fountain, and this woman is just singing so beautifully. And you can look around the crowd, and there's not a dry eye in the crowd. And we're just watching a water fountain, like a water show. And it's so moving and so touching to watch this thing. And I'm sure you can see it on YouTube or watch it on travel videos and stuff, but it doesn't do it any justice until you're there and you feel the energy of all the people around you and how impactful it is. We had the opportunity to go up. I think it's 160 stories. The Burj Khalifa is the tallest man-made tower in the world. And the viewing tower is it's on the 148th floor. So when you get up there and you're looking out from the tower, it looks surreal. It looks like you're looking at a picture of something, because your brain and your eyes really can't process that height. I mean, it's like the view from an airplane. It's very, very mesmerizing to see. The Burj Khalifa itself, it's magnetic. So no matter where you are in the city or where you are in the desert, you can almost see it from anywhere you are. And your eyes are magnetized to it. Like you just can't look away from it. It's just mesmerizing to see it. And then to be standing at the base of this thing and you look up and it's got all these lights in it that glitter, and it twinkles and glitters all the way up and down at nighttime. It's just, oh my gosh, you've got to see it in person.
I'm sold. I've never seen it, and I want to go see it. So that's awesome. And I like how you said a second ago, the energy around you. And, I guess you could almost even use that talking about anywhere. For example, you and I had the privilege of being able to plan your second trip out of the country for you. So first of all,
Yes.
Thank you for entrusting me with that endeavor. But this trip, it was action packed and all kinds of adventure. And like, even though you could probably explain it to somebody who wasn't there, like we're doing today, but it was that energy that was around us. Just, everywhere we went, life going on around us. There's something very beautiful about Guatemala. And I've talked about it. What I think, like every single one of my guests, one of us, like every guest has said Guatemala in some way or form in every episode. And that means something. I think that trip really does, that country, those people really do affect people. So my question for you is, did that particular trip that we took to Guatemala, did that have any sort of effect on your life?
It was the claw that drew me into travel. That trip sunk its claws all the way into my soul and pulled me into this love of wanderlust and travel. Dubai sparked my interest, and it was like, okay, cool. This is what it's like to travel outside the US. But getting to be in the environment in Guatemala, like Antigua, the energy in Antigua itself, like getting up and walking to breakfast and having coffee at a cafe, and then getting to walk the streets, and how everything feels different. Like I felt much more at ease and less on protective edge in Guatemala than I did Dubai, partly because I was around friends and people that I knew and had a relationship with, and I felt a lot more comfortable. But talking about energy, it's in the people, it's in the walls, it's in the streets, and you can feel it. It like makes the hair on my arm stand up when I talk about it.
Right.
The Santa Catalina Arch, I think that's like one of the prominent picture taking places I took a picture of when I was there. Like I look back at that and I can still feel that when I see a picture. I was looking at pictures this week from that trip, and I can still tap into that feeling today from what, 10 plus years ago, 11 years ago.
God, was it that long?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Golly. So you have this feeling, and do you ever try to explain that feeling to anyone, or is that something you kind of keep to yourself?
I have to keep that to myself because there's not words in the English dictionary that can really describe what it does. Like drugs can't match that. Words can't match that. It's something that if trying to explain it, I'm going to sound like a freaking weirdo. And I don't want to explain something that belongs to me. Like that's something that no one can ever take. They're just going to have to experience for themselves and step outside of their comfort zone and try it.
How did you feel about all the adventure and outdoor activities that there are to experience in Guatemala?
So that's that portion of our trip is where I found my true inspiration for travel. That was the true catalyst of this whole journey of traveling internationally started from. So I think we started at the base of Acatenango, and
that's a big.
Yeah, we hiked that day from sea level to 14,000 feet, which was base camp, right? And I remember like how hard that was. That was honestly, to this day, that was the hardest physical challenge I've ever accomplished my whole life. The hardest physical thing I've ever done in my life. So we've got these badass boots, right? And we've got North Face jackets, and we're layered up, and we've got gloves, and we've got beanies, and we're decked out. But then these porters come up beside us wearing shirt, shoes, and blue jeans and hoodies with no gloves, smoking us, right? They smoke us up this mountain. But here's the thing, these cats, they do this multiple times a day, and we're sucking wind to barely make it to 14,000 feet in a day. And these guys make several trips. There was some other people that had some other the porters. It looked like a soccer ball bag, and it was on their forehead, and they were carrying it up with their forehead. Like they weren't wearing backpacks. That was bizarre to me. Like that's talent.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost had like this Sherpa feel to it.
Yeah. Right before you guys all got in, I got there a little bit early. It was for my birthday, and I went ziplining before you guys got there. And we took this. It was like across from the coffee fields. We took this military truck, and we drove all the way to the top of the mountain, hopped on this zip line, and dashed across the two mountains. And when you're zipping across there, you can see these guys in the mountains picking coffee on the mountainside, and they're out there doing that. Then when you come down from the mountain, you can sit and sip coffee, and they do some handmade tortillas and stuff out there at the base. And it was a cool experience. Like I felt I was in my flow state there. Like that was the first taste of my flow state for travel.
I think you were in Philadelphia, right? The farm, Finca, Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think that was it. One thing I remember from that trip with you is your sheer excitement. I mean, you were a 8-year-old boy again, just, I mean, zipping down the mountain on this bike. That bike ride stands out in my mind. How do you remember that bike ride?
So when we started, I didn't know that we were going to be tearing ass down the mountain like that. Like I had no idea what to expect. We were just kind of cruising along the street, and keep in mind, we were on the street. We were there with cars and stuff. And there were probably 8 to 10 of us total.
Yeah.
Including Oseas. Is that his name? Osea?
Yeah. And with Old Town Outfitters. If anybody's ever in Guatemala that's listening to this, in Antigua, I'm sure they may have a few more bases, but in Antigua, they have one called Old Town Outfitters. And they are amazing. Their guides are amazing. Their equipment is awesome. They are one to hit up. So continue. I just wanted to give them a shout out.
So we're cruising along, and then we start hitting some of the downslopes, and these bikes are just lightning bolt fast, and we're literally passing cars. We're flying down this mountain faster than cars can drive down this mountain in like single file lines, dipping in and out of traffic, just blazing fast. And it was like being a kid again. Like when I was a kid, I was doing some hellion stuff in the country, doing kind of the same stuff, like tearing ass down a mountain on bicycles, right? And that's what I did. One of my favorite times as a child. So getting to do that in Guatemala, in another country, was absolutely astounding.
Yeah. Do you remember like riding through those cornfields and we're just passing people's houses and their kids and their dogs, and you just feel like you're just part of something, part of this community that you
Yeah.
may not ever see again. But I don't know, there's just some magical feeling that place gives to you, right?
Yeah, when we would pull up and there would be kids out playing and we would slow down and stop and talk to them, like they made us feel so special, and they made us feel like we belonged there. It wasn't like we were scoffed at. In Dubai, it was very much like people would look at you like, what the hell are you doing here? Although it's very westernized there, I did not feel that way in Guatemala.
So we did all these adventures. The other one I was going to ask you about was our kayak into the swimming,
Mm.
like jumping off cliffs. How did you feel about that?
I did a lot of the cliff stuff when I was a kid too, but we had stayed the night at Casa del Mundo that night before, right? Which
Yeah.
was wow. That
Right.
place
Yeah.
is a little slice of heaven. So Casa del Mundo is like it's a hotel, but it's not your traditional style hotel. Each room is its own little hut, and it's built throughout the mountainside, like a cliffside. So you can walk from room to room, and then you can walk down to where the restaurant is, or walk over to the hot tub or to the water or the docks and stuff. So that was really cool that it wasn't the traditional style hotel, and you had your private little room, cabana almost, that overlooked the water. So we get up the next day, we take a boat and we go over to these cliffs, and we're doing some cliff diving, and all of us get up there on these cliffs and we're just jumping. And one of the coolest things about this is that I felt that the water there and that experience was very cleansing. Like when I came out of that water, that I had shed layers of all this negative energy. I had just shed all this spackle that had not corrupted, but maybe just spackled over my soul, and it helped me just wash some of that negative stuff off my body, and I just left it there. I felt energized. I felt revived. It was a very spiritual moment for me. It was very, very refreshing and very uplifting.
Since that trip to Guatemala, I know that you have actively planned your own trips on numerous continents. So I
Hmm.
know that you took a trip to Rome, and I feel like Italy is one of those places that really can't be compared to other places because it's in a category all of its own. I mean, from the food to the people to the architecture to the art, like Italy is Italy. So, what kind of experience did you have traveling through Italy? Did you have any crazy experiences? Was it all just like
Mm.
magical, like you're in a movie, or how was it?
A little of actually both. Very magical. Going to the Colosseum was something that I've always wanted to do my whole life. I think that's a very powerful place. And to get to walk inside the Colosseum and see where gladiators, like real gladiators, did their thing is like, wow, human beings performed on this platform in a way and in a manner that is unfathomable to us current day. So, uh, all the ruins and all the city of Rome and everything, roaming all the streets, and then getting to see the bodies that they excavated, that were covered in lava and preserved in lava, whatever, was very humbling, extremely humbling. But to the architecture itself, it's hard to believe that humankind had that much engineering and that level of engineering so long ago, and how how big that city was. It's like Atlanta on steroids, but it was all handcrafted. Like they didn't use machinery and cranes and all this other stuff that we use today to build cities. It's crazy to see the magnitude that they accomplished, and even the stuff that you can't see that was once there, that you can only see in picture books and diagrams and stuff. It's like it was an extremely humbling experience. But then the crazy stuff. So we went from Rome, and we were staying with my best friend. His name's Ruben, and they had asked me. He and his wife had asked me to go through the process of ordination so I can marry the two of them back in 2016. So after the wedding, his mom lives in Rome. So his mom was there at the wedding, and she was like, "That was a great ceremony. I appreciate what you've done so much. You should come to Rome with Ruben and Paige when they come." And I was like, that sounds awesome. I'd love to. That would be wonderful. I'd love to do that. And I just really kind of thought it was just an act of kindness, like saying some kind words, right? Well, it actually happened. So we went to go stay with his mother and her boyfriend and their family on that side. So after doing the tour of Pompeii and the Colosseum and stuff, we took a trip down to Napoli, and we stopped at a little pizza place, like one of the original pizza places of Italy. And we had some real pizza, which was the food. It's wild. It's so good. And the way that they eat, like they don't eat like us. They'll pretty much kind of fast all day, and they'll go all in for dinner. They'll just have a 30-course meal for dinner, and they won't take snacks with them throughout the day. They won't eat these big lunches and stuff. They'll just save it all till dinner. So after we left Napoli, we had gotten an Airbnb in Bamarano, which is right along the Amalfi Coast. And our plan was we stay in the Airbnb that night, and then the next day we go do a little day hike through the Path of the Gods, which is like all the vineyards pretty much around the coastline. Well, we are driving up this mountain at nighttime, and it's raining, and it was really, really, really cloudy and really foggy, and we couldn't barely see anything. And the road is really tiny. You've got trucks and big cars and stuff coming through, and we're a little tiny Toyota Matrix or something. So we get to the place where the GPS says we should be for the Airbnb, and we get out of the car, and once again, it's raining, and we're looking around like, where are we going? Where is this place? Well, there's this pathway that leads up the mountain. So me and Paige and Ruben, we get out of the car, and we're walking up this path, and we're looking at houses and looking at house numbers, and we could not find this place. So we get probably half a mile up this mountain, and we come to this little restaurant, and we walk in, and we tell them that we're looking for this Airbnb, and we can't contact the lady that owns it. And it's this Russian family that owns this little cafe. So I say, "Hey, Ruben and Paige, why don't you guys stay here, and I'm going to go down to the car, and I'm going to have your mom and her boyfriend drive up here to the restaurant, and we'll regroup, and we'll figure out what to do, and we'll have these folks here at the restaurant call this lady and translate, because we don't speak Italian." So I go down there to the car, and I hike back down to the car in the rain. I'm soaking wet. My boots are full of water. My clothes are sopping wet. And I tell his mom and her boyfriend that they need to drive up to this little restaurant, and the name of the restaurant, which I can't remember. So then they drive up to the restaurant, and I go to walk back. So I wanted to look and see if I could find this house. So I hike all the way back up this mountain to the restaurant, and I get to the restaurant, and Ruben and Paige aren't there. So I'm like, "Hey," I talked to the people at the restaurant. I'm like, "Hey, where did Ruben and Paige go?" And they started acting really, really, really funny, like really sketchy. And I'm like, the first thought that crossed my mind is, "Oh my God, my two best friends just got kidnapped by the Russian mafia." All right. So I start freaking out. I'm like, "Listen, I need you to tell me where my friends are, because this is serious. We're lost, and we can't communicate. We have no idea where we are. His parents are on the way up here. Where are they?" And they're like, "We don't know. They just left." And I'm like, I told them to stay here. They were supposed to stay here. Like, why would they leave? What would make them want to leave? Like, the plan was they were to stay here, and I was going to get his parents and we're coming back. Why did they change plans? Where are they? And I got really upset. So I start walking back down the mountain to hopefully catch his parents. And this whole 30-minute, 45-minute long spiel went back and forth. Like, I'm pacing, I'm looking, I'm screaming out their names. And I go back to the restaurant, and there they are, standing at the outside of the restaurant. I'm like, what in that? And we look back at this and laugh, but we got in this huge argument about what we were doing. And because I was scared, I really, really wholeheartedly thought they just got kidnapped. And so we get in this huge argument back and forth. And finally, we get everything worked out. They call the person in the Airbnb, and we find this place. It's not lit. It's a little cobblestone trail that leads up to this gorgeous house on the hillside, on the mountainside that overlooks the lake, the lake in front of us. So we get up there to this place. It's cold. It's rainy. There's no heat. The accommodations were not what I expected. I thought that it was some sort of nice luxury hotel style home. And it was so far from that. And we get there and we get a good night's rest, and we wake up in the morning and we go back to that restaurant, and there was not a cloud in the sky. This little restaurant has an outdoor patio that hangs off the side of the mountain. This little tiny thing, just enough for like a little two-seater on the patio. And we're sitting there having coffee and eating danishes and pastries, which is what they eat for breakfast, like eggs and bacon and pancakes and all that other stuff. They're like, no, we don't do that. It's powdered sugar and donuts pretty much for breakfast. That's on their menu. And we were just kind of cutting up about the night before and just how crazy my mind went into, like, such a crazy place, thinking that they got kidnapped.
I was going to ask you about that. And this is a legit question. And I'm not singling you out. I'm talking to you, so I'm asking you. But I don't think that's an uncommon reaction that you had. But do you think it was because of the unknown, because of the language barrier, because you weren't familiar with your setting? Do you think that's why you freaked out? Because think about this. If we live in Atlanta, and if anybody's going to get kidnapped, it's probably going to be here, right? I mean, as opposed to this quaint little place that you went in Italy. So, why do you think you were more scared in that setting than you would have been if that exact same thing would have happened in Atlanta?
I think for the most part, you hit the nail on the head with being unaware of my surroundings and my settings, the language barrier, and being lost, and them knowing that we're lost and in a very vulnerable state, that it would be easy for us to be taken advantage of, because we couldn't even communicate with authorities if we tried to call the police or even know who to call.
Right. No, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But I'm sure it's something that you do laugh about now.
We do, very much so. And it's those types of experiences that, that really make these trips, that make travel that much more fun, is that you get to create these lifelong experiences. And it's that kind of stuff that really solidifies those relationships too, because getting to travel with friends, the bond that I have with friends that I've traveled with, especially internationally, is unbreakable. It's unbreakable. It's something that it's an experience that I've shared with you. It's an experience that I've shared with them and with others that you just can't get that at home. You can have a lot of fun at home. You can go on cool hikes and camping trips and adventures and stuff at home and have a blast. But when you step all the way outside of your box and all the way to the furthest extent outside of your comfort zone, and you start sharing experiences like that, I think that's where the growth happens. That's where the growth piece happens. That's what you bring back with you, is when it changes you, those experiences change you, and you come back to the States and you get back in your day-to-day life, you become much more adaptable to adversity in your job, in relationships with employees, with your friends, with your loved ones, with your family. It almost kind of gives you a little bit of an edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I like your point because it's so true. Because you and I, we really haven't talked in probably 10 years, like legit talk.
Hmm.
And as soon as I saw your face on this platform, I was like, oh man, I remember that bike ride. Like you're right. It's those moments that really do kind of connect you to that person for life in some instances. And so I
Hmm.
know you have like a lifelong friend that you've been friends with a long time,
Hmm.
Mr. Henry Alexander McLean.
Yeah.
And so that was one of your more recent trips to Kenya. And
Yeah.
so again, I feel like when people plan a trip to Africa, they already have it set in their mind that they will be experiencing something that they've never come across before. Like you don't go to Africa with the expectation of coming back unchanged. Like something's going to affect you. So, what were your expectations of Africa, and did it meet your expectations?
First and foremost, it superseded any expectation that I went to Africa with. That's most important. I went there with the expectation of learning about the culture and getting to see the wildebeest migration, the Great Migration. That's where my head was focused, was like, this is an experience that you can't get at a zoo, you can't get in the States, you can't get this experience anywhere else, right? So that's kind of where my head and my heart was the whole time going into. Once we landed in Nairobi and got to the city, it was kind of shocking for me because it's everything in that city is so compact. It's shoulder to shoulder, walking through the streets or walking through the sidewalks, all your vendors up and down the sidewalk selling food and all kinds of goods, necklaces, beads, all kinds of stuff from like China and things of that nature. Like traffic laws, forget them. There's no traffic laws there. That doesn't exist. I'm sure it does exist in real life, but nobody follows them. And I was a little uneasy in that environment because I kind of felt like we were targets and that we stood out. And I kind of like to blend in. I feel a lot safer when I blend into my surroundings. But we stayed there for a night to kind of decompress before our trip to the Serengeti. And then the following morning, we got up and went to a pretty nice sized national park in Nairobi and got our first experience of the wildlife, which was really cool, like getting to see zebras and some giraffes and stuff, some buffalo. It was a good precursor to going down into the Serengeti. It was a good preparation to open our minds and our spirits up to start feeling all this stuff, because when we got into the Serengeti and got to the gates, and I remember Henry sharing a little something about the gates on his podcast, that was a bit of a weird situation because we had a driver. We met somebody there in Nairobi that actually drove us all the way to the gates of the Serengeti, and he did all of our translating for us. And we had built this relationship with him where we trusted this guy, and he kind of provided translation, he provided transportation, and to some extent, he provided protection. Like he didn't let us get taken advantage of, which was really, really nice. That would be a good suggestion for me, for our listeners, is like if you go into a foreign place, is to meet somebody and build that rapport and build that relationship. That if you need somebody in a pinch, if you need somebody in case of an emergency, get their phone number. You can call them, you can contact them. They can translate for you. They can help you in an emergency. They can transport you. They can provide this for you. So we kind of hired this guy, paid him in US dollars. So get to the gates. We get partnered up with these two guys from the Masai Mara tribe. And they were pretty much our tour guides for the duration of our trip in the Serengeti. So these two guys, we get in this Toyota Land Cruiser and we drive for hours and hours. And as soon as you get into the park, you start seeing, it's like looking at the ocean. If you're out on a boat in the middle of the ocean and the ocean is just waving, these huge waves, when you get out there and you look out into the Serengeti, you see those waves, but it's of animals. It's not just the grass waving in the wind. It's animals moving and migrating at this time of year. So the wildlife in the beginning of the park was thousands of zebras, thousands of gazelles, thousands of impalas, the buffalo, and some giraffes scattered throughout there, some ostrich. And then we got to our camp. So we stayed in this little camp along the Serengeti, or the Masai River, not Serengeti River, the Masai River. And it's like an outdoor canvas compound where each room is a canvas tent, and it has two beds and a bathroom. And then the mess hall is in the middle, and it has a big outdoor open eating area. And the cooks and stuff will go back in the back area and cook for you. So they provide all your meals for you, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and they'll pack your lunch for you and send it with your tour guides. But at nighttime, due to being out in the middle of the Serengeti, you're not allowed to leave your tent at night without protection. And guards can't, these guys can't have guns on the reserve. They can't. It's illegal. So they can only carry like spears and machetes, and that's the only means of protection that they have. It's illegal to shoot animals out there. You've got some real hardcore like tribesmen out there that have lived in this environment their whole entire existence, which is beyond our level of comprehension of living. I mean, we complain about it being too hot in the house. These folks don't even know what an air conditioner is. So we head out on day 2, and that's when it really started getting good. Is they communicate. They've got walkie-talkies or CB radios in all the rigs, and there's thousands of these tour guides out there in the Serengeti, and they're communicating with one another at the same time, and they're spotting specific rhino, the elephant, and so on and so forth. So when they spot them, they'll communicate to all the people in their outfit where these are, so they can get all the tourists. They can pretty much bum rush where these animals are. The people can take pictures and all this cool stuff. Well, we came up on a pack of cheetahs, and they called them the brothers. And there used to be 4 of them. I think there's 3 now. One of them got hurt and died. And they were feeding. They were sitting eating on something that they had killed. So we didn't get to see them actually kill it. So we drove around some more, and we got to see some lions. We were blessed to get to see a leopard in the wild. Our tour guide said that that's very, very rare to ever see a leopard in the wild. And we spent like 30 minutes watching him just do his thing. But then after lunch, we were going to where the wildebeest actually cross the Masai River. And the tour guide spotted a cheetah in like his stance, and there was a whole bunch of wildebeest around us, right? So he spots this cheetah, and he's like crouched down, and he's starting to move his shoulders around, do that little thing that cats do right before they pounce. And it was on. There was 2 cheetahs, and they went after their prey. So all of these land cruisers and all the people in these land cruisers, they start following these cheetahs in a real life time takedown. So half the pack went one way, we went another way. And from start to finish, we watched this cheetah tackle a wildebeest, kill it, then eat it. Within 10 feet of us. And we sat there. The wildlife out there isn't really affected by us driving by. Like I think they're used to it. It doesn't scare them. The sound of the engines and stuff doesn't scare them or anything. So we're sitting there watching this thing just pull it apart, watching this cheetah pull apart this wildebeest. That is electrifying. That it's making the hair on my neck stand up right now thinking about it. That was an experience that you can't get from television. You can't get from talking about it or watching it on the big screen. Seeing it in person. And I'm very, very soft about animals. So when I see an animal hurt or injured or get killed, it's like, oh man, it doesn't make me feel very good. And that battle in my mind and in my emotions with seeing this poor, helpless wildebeest, but this ferocious cheetah, it was just so incredible, that battle inside to be like, this is the ecosystem. This is how this whole thing works out here. This is the only way this ecosystem works, is exactly what we're watching here. That was one of the many favorite things about that trip. After we packed up from camp, our tour guides, they actually took us to their village. the Maasai village, part of where their tribe is, where their tribe lives. And when you pull up, I want to say he's the prince of the village. He kind of gives you the instructions, like the do's and don'ts. This is what, you can't do this, don't do this. But then they have this welcome ceremony that only the men take part in. So the men do this really awesome welcome ceremony, and then they allow you through the walls to go in and see their actual village. And when you come inside, then the women do the ceremony, and they sing and they dance and they welcome you in.
Wait, are men allowed to the women's ceremony?
Yeah.
Wait, so did just women have their own women only ceremony?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, that's messed up. But go ahead. Continue. I was like, wait, hold on. Men only? What is this crap?
So then they do this other thing where it's like it's another ceremony where it's the guys, it's like a high jump. So all the guys there's people singing in the back, and then all the guys stand in a line and they each take turns jumping as high as they can. And the person that jumps the highest gets awarded with the most amount of wives.
Wait, like standing in place? Like you're not running and jumping, just standing in place.
Mm-mm. Standing in place, and you just jump up and down, up and down, up and down.
And hold on. The reward is, or you get a lot of wives?
The reward is you are awarded wives for the highest jump.
Hopefully these women have a choice in being an award. I want to point that out. But let's be honest, is that really an award? I mean, that's just a lot more women for you to hang out with and take care of. I don't know. Just knowing me, if somebody was like, you try to give my boyfriend 4 of me, he would be like, no, thank you. Do a little baby up. Oh, dang it. I love it.
I will say Henry was probably the highest jumper, so he's probably got a couple wives there waiting on him when he gets back.
Do you think that he would hate that?
Probably not. Probably. He probably has no complaints about it.
Man, all of that sounds incredible. So overall, Africa was an experience that you will never forget.
No, it's impossible. It's the genuine sincerity of the people there. It's not comparable to anything else. The culture there, especially in the tribe, they were very, very accommodating, and it was like we were treated like royalty, which you don't get that very often here in the States. And they had an extreme level of respect for us. I would definitely suggest anyone that has never been to the Serengeti and spent any time with the tribesmen, because there's many different tribes that live out there in the Serengeti. I would highly suggest getting out there and experiencing that and getting to feel what it's like to have to live off the land, because they don't have grocery stores. They have to raise their livestock. They have to farm their own produce, and then they have the animals of prey out there that kill their livestock, and they have to combat that. And then they've got bugs and insects that kill their produce, and they have to combat that. So it's their trials and tribulations just for daily survival. It's crazy. We are far beyond blessed to live in this country and to have what we have and access to the things that we have, and with ease, without any effort. If we're hungry, we can just pick up our phone and order Uber Eats, and it'll be on our doorstep in less than 30 minutes. Exactly the way we like it, exactly how we want it, with all the special instructions, with food and cuisines from numerous different countries, right? It's very humbling.
Different world, man. So you know I'm a big quote nerd, so let me read you this quote, and so that it can lead into my next question for you. So this one is from Jack Kerouac, and I loved his book on the road. Anybody out there who has not picked up that copy on the road, it's a great one. Anyways, he says, "What is that feeling when you're driving away from people and they recede on the plane till you see their specks dispersing? It's the too huge world vaulting us, and it's goodbye. But we lean forward to the next crazy venture beneath the skies." So Do you find it hard to say goodbye to all these amazing places that you visit? Like, for example, Africa, like that's a different world. Did you have a problem looking at it and saying, okay, I have to leave you now? Or do you leave it with this positive outlook because you know that you gained experience from it and you'll go on a different adventure one day? Or like, what's your feeling when you're leaving a place?
With Africa, very, very hard to say goodbye. I could have stayed there and lived for months on end and been extremely happy with having absolutely nothing. I like that. This simplified life and living in a little hut with no heating and air and warmth of a little fire pit in the middle of this clay hut. I could have stayed there for quite some time. On the majority of my other vacation travel, like international vacation travel, it was nice being there, and it's nice bringing that experience back to the States, but it was a lot easier for me to leave.
In general, do you have like, I find myself having a bit of a post-trip depression whenever I get back home because I'm like, I'm happy to be home. I'm appreciative of everything I have, but at the same time, I'm like, man, like back to my everyday normal life. Like, do you ever get that post-trip depression?
Absolutely. I remember Dariella saying something about like the way that she likes to travel is she doesn't mind getting dirty. She would much rather do stay on the dirt and live in that type of environment and be in that type of environment over anything else. That's exactly how I am. Like I miss the ruggedness. Like I think it's primal. I think the fact that we're designed to be in an environment like that when we leave that, we have a hunger for that, where we belong in that environment. And we were created to struggle. We were created to have that type of challenge in our lives. So yes, I do have that post travel depression for sure.
Yeah. Earlier
Yeah.
you said, I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but you said that you do like to blend in when you go certain places.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find it hard? Because obviously when you're planning this trip to Africa, you know you're not going to blend in. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're like white, and you're bald and,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to blend in. And do you find that to be a deterrent whenever you're planning your trips? Since you said, you do want to blend in. Do you ever feel nervous about not blending in when you're planning your trips?
I do. I do, just because of that. I have this underlying thing in the back of my head that says, you have life responsibilities, real life responsibilities here in the States. I have a new career, a new industry, a new profession. I'm trying to make a name for myself in this industry. And if I go over there and something happens and, God forbid, I get stuck there for a week, an extra week against my plans, and my plans things don't go accordingly to plan, then it could unravel or it can disrupt my life at home. So I have that in the back of my mind, yes. As I've gotten older and I've started to travel tremendously more in the past decade, I worry less about that. But when I'm traveling in other countries, I'm not very loud and boisterous. I'm not very vibrant, as vibrant and such there as I am here, because I don't want to draw attention to myself. I want to meet the locals, see what they take their suggestions, because I'll have a couple of things on my to-do list or my agenda that I'll do at my own time, my own pace, when I want to, or not do if I don't want to. But my primary objective is to understand what the locals do, what feeds their soul, and to absorb some of that, because they're going to tell me where the great food is. They're going to tell me where the great spots are. They're going to tell me, what is going to impact my life the most. And once I get in it, like usually within my first 12 so hours, I'm a little apprehensive, just to that protective mindset that I have. But once I've had a few conversations and gotten out there, then I start to loosen up and let go a little bit.
Those are fun moments, though, where you start to find yourself just becoming comfortable in your environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you go there with like the excitement of like, oh, it's something new, it's something exciting and something different. But to kind of like be sitting, I don't know, in a restaurant and you felt like you've met some of the people around you and you started talking to the people who cooked your food and you're talking to them and you're like, oh, I've never heard of those hot springs. Yeah, I should check those out. Like once you start getting comfortable, there's something kind of beautiful in that as well, right?
Do you remember Porque No?
Man, I love that place. Oh, I forgot about that place.
Yeah.
You know,
that was the jam.
Porque No tattooed on me, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think all of us got a tattoo while we were there. I think everybody in our group got tatted up while we were there.
What'd you get tattooed?
A Nawal. It's the Mayan calendar sign. You know how they have like the zodiac signs and the Chinese zodiac signs?
Yeah.
Well, the Mayans have the same thing. I got my Mayan Nawal on my ribcage.
I don't know. Something about Guatemala, man. You just go there thinking you're just going to have a nice old time and it changes you. You're like, yeah, I need to get tatted up here before I leave. And I'm going to talk about this trip forever. So one of the things that I like to do at the end of these is just to light and fun, just kind of give you some like, hey, would you rather, like stuff that you would like to do while you're traveling, because I think it's
my
fun.
Favorite game.
Yes. Oh God, it's so much fun. Okay, here we go. I have got 5 would you rathers for you.
Okay.
Would you rather stay in a remote location in the Amazon or in Amsterdam? Like a lot of city life, a lot going on, but still there's a culture to it. Like both of those, you're in, just a culture unlike your own. But are you more of a remote guy or more of a city guy?
Remote all the way. And here's the thing. I would do it in one of the like little Tarzan things, little Tarzan get-ups only. If I'm going to be in the Amazon, I'm going full Tarzan.
Is that one of your on your to-do list to go to the Amazon?
Is.
Yeah, okay. I just making sure. Okay. Would you rather have a full-on food experience in Thailand or in Brazil? What's your palate go towards?
Probably towards Brazil, but never been to Thailand, and I've had, I think, 0 experiences with Thai food. I would really want to experience that. That would be life-changing for me, especially just going to Thailand. I mean, heck, I've heard some of y'all talk about it on this podcast, and I'm like, I need to add that to my list.
Yeah, watch out for the machetes, but yeah, for sure. Dariella's machete story. I was like, oh Lord.
My God. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that would definitely be terrifying. Okay, so you said that you're all about remote. So in a 2 remote locations, I'm going to have you choose from. Would you rather choose an Arctic remote location? You're going to see polar bears. You're going to see wolves. Like you might see the northern lights. Like freezing cold. Or would you rather be sand dunes, Sahara Desert, camels, set up tent in the sand? Which more remote location would you be attracted to?
I think the Arctic. I think I would go for the Arctic. Part of the reason why is because I haven't been in a Arctic setting before. I have been into the desert Dubai, seen camels and such, but talking about wolves and polar bears, that wildlife, that's where I would find my connection is being in the same domain as to where a polar bear lives. And I think that's pretty outstanding. That's a pretty cool feeling. That would have to be a pretty cool feeling.
Right? That was what I would choose as well. Okay, let me ask you this. While you're traveling, what's your favorite meal of the day?
Breakfast for sure. The tradition, and I guess it's the tradition of breakfast. Getting to sip coffee, which I love coffee. Everywhere I go, I've got to find good coffee. But letting my brain wake up and start to process the day and start to process my environment. There's something combined with coffee and the smell of breakfast, whether it's pastries and danishes or eggs and bacon. There's something there that does something to me up here in my brain that allows me to like really process the day and think out and to be grateful. Like that's when I'm grateful the most. Like when I wake up and I say my prayers, that's when I reflect the most on my life.
Prize! We have a special guest
Hey,
joining us
Playboy!
today. And to wrap up this interview, we have
All right,
Henry Alexander McLean.
my man.
Well. How we doing?
Oh, we wanted
It's
to
so good
surprise
to
you,
see you.
Jay. It's your bestie.
This is awesome.
Sorry to ruin your little soiree, you know, but I had to just jump in here. First of all, I just got to tell you, sorry to interrupt, but I'm on a date with a dentist, and I just chipped my tooth while eating tacos. And
Which tooth? Alex, did we lose you already? Oh my God.
I think so.
no, I'm here.
So, which tooth did you just chip?
One of the front ones, I've been trying to hide it from her the whole time, but she's a dentist, so like.
It's number 7.
It's what?
Number 7.
Yeah, evidently it's number 7, whatever that means.
Oh my
man.
gosh.
Well, if she stays with you through this chipped tooth of number 7, dude, she's a keeper. Seriously. So, we've had a great interview with Jay. He told us all about Serengeti, all about Guatemala, all about Dubai. It's been awesome, man. Yeah. You have anything you want to ask Jay?
Let's see. Who is your number one favorite travel partner of all time? The rawest, the realest that you've ever been out with, you know, cross country or just to Colorado?
It's got to be Champagne Rain McLean.
Whoa, bro, I'm on a second date, right? Third or fourth date type of intel, you know, my old nickname back in the day. Come on now.
Yes.
Lord,
Hey,
have
guess
mercy.
Guess what, Henry?
What?
Oh, I have a wifey now.
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
The old ball and chain. She's a Dunham now.
We can't go up to Moondogs anymore and spit game on the Buckhead girls. Those days are gone.
I can't be your. I can no longer be your goose to you Maverick. I can't be, bro. I'm sorry.
So Henry, I know you're on a date and you got to go, but I want you to tell me one good memory. What's one of the best things about traveling with Jay?
I don't know. The thing that I love most about Jay and like us traveling together, you know, we've been to Africa together, we've been out to Colorado, is just the fact that you know, he always makes sure that everyone is just having a good time. It doesn't matter from the highest of the high to the lowest of the low. You know, Jay is just the type of guy that just simply wants everyone to just have a good time. And that's one of the traits that I just love about him. You know, he doesn't really think about himself. He just wants everyone to enjoy themselves, you know. And I think probably from all the places that we've been to, like one of my favorite moments was when him and I were having that box lunch that they gave us, you know, when we were out, and we were just out, and they gave us, remember that box lunch? And it was like some like out school like box lunch, but we were just out in the Serengeti in the middle of nowhere, you know, and we're just sitting there on top of this like blanket and not really even saying much, just sort of like enjoying it, you know. And that's what traveling is, you know, part of what traveling is so great. And, you know, you don't have to always just sort of like talk things out or explain things. Sometimes you just need to enjoy the moment and live in the moment. And, you know, I've gotten some great moments with my best bro. Also, you know, remember that one time, remember when we were at Julia's river camp in the Serengeti and we started hearing that wild boar wincing like in the morning? I don't know about you, but I had to change my shorts after that because it definitely it sounded like Pumbaa's like deranged cousin was like literally right by our tent, you know, and whatnot. And some of the guys that were just sort of like wrestling out there in the little dresses that we're wearing as a part of the Maasai Nation. And I'm just like, well, you know, no one has a Glock out here, so I guess we're all dying.
Yes, I clearly remember that morning for sure. And the picnic, dude. That's what I like. That's one of the things I like about you too, is like we know each other so well. Like we don't always have to have a conversation going on at all times. We can sit and be in the moment and absorb the moment. No cameras, no pictures, just doing our thing in complete silence, and love it.
So what y'all me is that Henry's second best date was with this dentist, and Henry's first best date was with Jay in the massage.
Picnic.
Oh my God, exposing my chip tooth right now. God. So let me ask you this, Jay. Let me ask you this. What do you think is kind of missing from your travel repertoire? You know, not just places itself, but maybe feelings. You know, like what's next in your, kind of adventure of growth as a person? What are you looking for out of your travel journey?
We talked a little bit about it earlier. Is that the majority of my trips as of recent have been more vacations and self-indulging, like me trying to experience that culture and that community versus me giving to that community and adding more value or doing something more philanthropic for that community. I think that's the piece. That's the missing key piece. And I have got to be more diligent about contributing when I'm there and giving versus absorbing.
I love it. Yeah. My answer would have been wildly inappropriate for a second date, but
So happy that you hopped on and surprised Jay. His face was like sheer excitement.
Yes, this was a blessing.
Oh, yes.
I never saw this coming, so that was one hell of a surprise. So thank you both. Thank you guys very much.
We just planned it this morning. Let's give a shout out to the dentist on the date with Henry, because she's the real MVP for the evening.
I'm really jealous that I didn't get a romantic blanket picnic, but I don't know if there's a third date after this chip tooth incident. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to call, Henry. You're the best. Have fun tonight. Get your tooth fixed. All right.
Love you too, bud.
Hey, I love you guys. All right, we're on our way to the emergency.
Bye.
Oh my God, that was
epic.
Hysterical. Do you know how to turn it off? Is he off?
I think so.
I think his face. I'm gonna take a picture of this.
Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah, I wanted to just do something a little different, I hadn't.
That was really cool.
So, oh yay,
How
this
awesome.
was fun. Yeah.
Yes.
So to wrap it all up, thank you so much for coming on the show, talking to me about all of your experiences and your stories and everything that's happened.
Travel is meant to do many things. And what I find the most rewarding is that it does feed my soul. And so the travel will definitely do the trick. And I like to do extensive research on the areas that I travel to. So I'll download an audiobook specifically on the area that I'm going to and have a base knowledge of where I'm going. So I have a better understanding of what politeness looks like in this country, how to be hospitable, how to accept hospitality. All these things that are our social norms may not be the same there. I've found myself to have much more fun when I have a better baseline of where I'm going and what I'm doing.
Right. So that once you listen to that, you can prepare and work on how high you can jump whenever you visit certain villages.
That's right.
No, seriously though, you were great. Thank you so much for sharing all these stories and for being on. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, man. All right. We will talk soon. Stay safe.
Okay. Enjoy your night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is prohibited on the entire aircraft, including the lavatories. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the lavatory smoke detectors is prohibited by law. If you have any questions about our flight today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our flight attendants.